Jan Narvaez. This is my disposition video. The role of the special education teacher is to be an advocate for those students who are often misunderstood and most of the time disrespected by those who choose to be wrongfully ignorant. Every teacher working in special education should be proactive in accommodating the needs of their students. Practice is constant, and with practice comes improvement. Upholding professional expectations and ethics is an important quality in every teacher, but especially a special ed teacher, because special ed students are incredibly unique. It's our role to hold students accountable for what they do and hold them to high expectations. When I evaluated myself with the self-assessment on dispositions, I discovered that I currently possess 8 out of the 10 dispositions. The ones that I believe will help me be the most successful teacher that I can be are: number 1, educators should be sensitive to the individual learning and social needs of students and embrace the cultural diversity of the community. The next one is educators should promote social justice and equity, maintain appropriate standards of confidentiality, and exercise fairness in all areas, including assessment. The last one that I believe will help me be the most successful is educators should recognize that reflection combined with experience leads to growth as a professional. There are 2 dispositions that I think I can improve on before I become a first-year teacher. Number 1 is educators should model integrity by their words and actions. The second is teachers understand the impact of community involvement and servant leadership as it applies to the welfare of others in the educational setting. I chose these because I believe that one of the most important aspects of teaching is your relationship with yourself. If you don't have a good relationship with you and you don't speak to yourself with the positive and affirming manner in which you speak to other people, including your students, then how can you possibly stand in front of a classroom and teach others about respect when you don't respect yourself? I didn't realize the impact of community until late last year when I found a lost little dog in my neighborhood. I didn't know who she belonged to, but I did the most that I could by posting her picture everywhere on social media, everywhere on different lost pet apps. And eventually, my community helped her family find me so that this little dog could be returned to its rightful owner. It turns out that its rightful owner was a little boy who is also a student with special needs. When this little boy lost his dog, he couldn't go to school. He felt very heartbroken because he loved this little dog. And if it wasn't for my community, he may have never seen her again. When it comes to personal biases, I find that they shine through most when you interact with different students who remind you of a younger version of yourself. I think this could affect a student and teacher relationship because I find that it can lead to favoritism. When someone is similar to you, you tend to connect with them differently than with other people. And although it's good to make connections, it's important to set boundaries to those connections so that favoritism isn't a product of a child reminding you of you at that age. I find that when personal bias comes into play, a lot of excuses are made for the student who is being preferred. And instead of there being consequences or these students being held accountable for their actions, a lot of excuses are made for them. I find that this might affect the child, especially if they think that they can get away with those actions. I also find that it could affect the relationship with the families of these students, because if a parent comes to you with concern about actions that their student is displaying and you don't see a problem with it, there could be a disconnect there. When you blind yourself with your own reasoning, it ends up being a disservice to the family, the student, and yourself. So it is important to keep personal biases in check. Understand that there has to be a boundary set, even if a student reminds you of you at that age. You truly need to remember that they aren't you. This has been my personal disposition video. Thank you for listening to what I've had to say.